Welcome back to the Deep Dig of Sports Pod. I'm your host, D. I had to hop on today just to talk a little bit about the movement in the NFL with some of these quarterbacks. Before we dig into that, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe and drop some comments below. Just let me know your thoughts as this is actually pretty crazy. So in the NFL today, there is news because two quarterbacks have been traded. The first was Desmond Ridder. The Atlanta Falcons are sending him to Arizona to back up Kyler Murray. In return, they get wide receiver Rondale Moore. Second trade that happened. The Washington Commanders ship out former starting quarterback Sam Howell to the Seattle Seahawks. In exchange, they flip some draft picks. Seattle is sending over their third and a fifth, I believe, and they're receiving a fourth and a sixth. So moving up around are the Washington Commanders. And not to be that guy, but you can't help at laughing at the Chicago Bears still holding out, haven't had a trade with Justin Fields done to this point. I think they overplayed their hand. It is pretty laughable. I mean, when Desmond Ridder first there was rumblings that a trade could happen. I was seeing the tweet out there. There is more traction for Desmond Ridder. There's more trade value for Desmond Ridder than there is for Justin Fields. I laughed about it. But then you start to see the movement and where the pieces are falling. Today, Joe Flacco signs with the Indianapolis Colts. Jameis Winston signs with the Browns. Before this, Drew Lock had signed with the Giants. So not only are there pretty much no starters or starting positions left in the QB market, all the backup slots are actually filling up pretty fast as well. And so just to kind of talk about the trade of Desmond Ridder to the Cardinals, I think that's good. Again, you have a guy in Kyler Murray who has had some durability issues. He's a smaller quarterback. You just need to have someone who can play one or two games. Honestly, I don't really like Desmond Ridder. I think that they kind of fleeced him. Rondale Moore is still a really good weapon, but I don't think he fits in what they do as far as with Kyler. So moving him over to Kirk Cousins, I think that's a pretty good fit for the Atlanta Falcons. Sam Howell, that's actually really interesting because they have, again, Geno Smith there in Seattle with with the flexibility to move off of him. If things start to get hot where it's like, hey, we're not competing, let's go ahead and make this move over to Sam Howell. I always see now on Twitter the comparison to Bo Nix. Bo Nix is 24. Sam Howell is 23, had all these yards. I think that his stats were inflated playing under Eric Bieniemy because all they did was spam pass plays. He was a turnover machine. I think that those things can be kind of reined in and he could be a legitimate 25 to 32 starting quarterback. I think that's kind of his range. I think he could be a lower tier starting quarterback if he were to get into a system that was right for him. I don't think he's going to be a superstar status, but could be a guy that could be like a Gardner Minshew type. But for the Commanders, I think this seals the deal. I think they are going quarterback at number 2. If they had any instance of hey, should we or should we not? I think that's kind of out the window right now. And you're going, hey, are we getting Drake May or are we getting Jaden Daniels here? Personally, I think they're going Drake May, but I mean, we'll see. And again, just to kind of bring up the whole Chicago Bears of this, I think, again, the Chicago Bears really played up their hand. I think they really thought that someone else was going to value Justin Fields the same way they value Justin Fields. They think that, hey, he is a starter in this league. Someone will give up a second-round pick. Obviously, that didn't happen. Before free agency kicked off, there were rumblings that, hey, around the league, a lot of these teams are looking at other quarterbacks like a Sam Darnold or a Gardner Minshew, and they are valuing them more than what you have with Justin Fields because Justin Fields is a question mark. And so you just you really whiffed on this one. You should have got rid of him before these, slots started filling out. Ian Rappaport reported that, hey, the Chicago Bears are still evaluating who they want to take with the number 1 pick. Once that is decided, then they will do their due diligence for Justin Fields. They want to send him to the right spot. And I think you have it ass backwards. It just doesn't work like that. Again, the rest of the league is not going to wait up for Justin Fields. You need to make a move first. And if you would have done it sooner, you could have gotten at least something back. Again, Sam Howell, you had to flip a couple picks, but you end up getting a third round overall. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's maneuver. Let's get some things. Let's put him in a prime backup spot where he can then make the adjustment to being a starter at some point. Again, I think the New York Giants would have been fine. I think even down with the Saints, I know it's going to be hard to move off of Derek Carr, but Derek Carr is a guy who does get banged up, and he's a guy who, let's face it, he stinks now. So I think Justin Fields could have won that job at some point during the year. But now you're starting to look again. Where are you going to be able to pawn off, and what value you're going to be able to get? If you do end up drafting Caleb Williams, you are going to have to cut Justin Fields, because there's no way you could have both of those guys in that same locker room, not with the irrational Chicago fan base that thinks that Justin Fields is some superstar. And this thought that, hey, we have the number 1 pick, let's go ahead and trade it. That is fucking stupid. If you think that, you're dumb. You are dumb if you think that's going to happen. There's no way you're trading this number 1 pick, especially with a GM and a head coach that did not draft Justin Fields. This is not their guy. They do not have to be loyal to him. Instead, they can draft Caleb Williams, extend out their clock, build around him, and try to become a winner. I think you've seen enough from Justin Fields to know you need to move on. The league has told you we're not going to give up a ham sandwich for him. You got to move on. So, I mean, where they have to move it, where they're going to move him, I have no idea. I think he's more valuable to someone if they just wait it out and they cut him. I don't see anyone giving anything of value. I mean, 5th, 6th round pick, maybe, because the Bears are in desperation. And so it's going to be interesting to see. I did not see those trades coming at all, but it is cool, because then you start to see the backup quarterback market is being highly inflated right now, just because look at last year, how many quarterbacks actually started around the NFL. You know how important it is. A guy like Flacco, who came in off the street, is taking teams to the playoffs. You just never know. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe they do end up packaging some picks together and getting the same kind of haul that they had with Sam Howell. But I think more than likely it's going to be a Mac Jones level return. If we had to choose between the two, you're not getting what you thought you were, Chicago. I would settle for a Mac Jones return at this point. But that's all I have. Again, be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, and drop some comments below. Later.